Strength doesn't come from what you can do.
It comes from overcoming the things you once thought you couldn't. Ricky Rogers.
You'll never know how strong you are until being strong is the only choice you have. Bob Marley.
Rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. J.K. Rowling.
Good morning. My name is Lily Vincent, and I'm a sixth form boarder from Greenwich, Connecticut. I don't think many of you truly know me. Not the full version, not the parts that have lived behind closed doors. You've seen the smile, the good days, the parts of me I've allowed you to see. But there are parts of me, big and small, that I've kept hidden. Pieces I tucked away because I was scared. Scared of being seen too clearly, scared of being misunderstood, scared of being too much or not enough. But now, with graduation just a couple of weeks away, I've realized something. I can't carry this version of myself, the one defined by fear, silence, and secrecy, into the next chapter of my life. I need to let go, not of everything I've been through, but of the weight I've placed on myself because of it. I need to speak, not just for myself, but for anyone who's ever felt like they had to hide to belong. So, even though it terrifies me, here is my story. On July 13th, 2021, right before I arrived for my third form year at Westminster, I lost a mentor and a mother figure, my best friend's mom, Serena. She was soft-spoken but strong, fiercely kind, and always knew exactly how to make people feel seen. When Maisie called me and said, "Lil, my mom died," time stopped. Serena had made grilled cheeses for me on rainy days and hugged me like I was hers. And then, just like that, she was gone. Everything around me felt unreal, muffled, like I was underwater. Even the air itself felt too heavy to breathe. Serena's death carved a hollow space inside of me, a deep ache that refused to go away. I was overwhelmed by guilt. Guilt for still being here, for waking up, breathing, laughing when she no longer could. For weeks, I moved through life in a fog, clinging to memories like they were oxygen. I'd see her in the colors of the sunsets, hear her singing in the background of songs we used to love, and feel her presence in every gust of wind. At 15, I became Maisie's support system, which was difficult because I was barely standing myself. I didn't know how to help her. All I knew was I had to. I learned to hold the pain of two people and cope with the weight of someone else's life on top of mine. I didn't tell anyone how heavy it was to carry both our grief, or how I cried in my car at night so no one would see or hear. I didn't tell anyone how I smiled for Maisie when my own heart was shattering. But she is my sister in every way that matters, and so I had to grow for both of us. I had to learn to help myself so I could help her, because I couldn't do the second without the first. Just as I was starting my life on the hill, I was also learning that grief is a silent, universal language. It isolates you in your darkest moments, yet it connects us all in such a profound way. It's the empty space where someone should be, and the silence that follows their absence. Despite all of this, I've come to understand that grief is not just pain. It's love that has nowhere else to go. And that love doesn't fade. It evolves. It becomes a part of you, a part of who you are. So slowly, as I was also navigating a new class schedule and learning to live in a dorm, I started to climb. Some days I slipped, some days I didn't want to try, but I learned, step by tiny step, that keeping Serena's spirit alive meant living, not just surviving, and living as she would have wanted me to, finding joy again, smiling without guilt, laughing without apologizing. When I thought about her, I had to force myself not to think about the fact that she was gone, but about everything she taught me. For example, she taught me to never, ever buy anything full price. You have to wait for it to be on sale. Never give someone your love if they don't deserve it. And always make sure the trunk of your car has everything you might need for a field hockey game, a spontaneous sleepover, or the off chance you happen to need a fully built dresser on short notice. Her memory soon became a reason to enjoy life again. She wasn't just gone. She was woven into every part of who I was becoming, into the resilience I never knew I had, into the love I gave others, into the strength it took to help Maisie, and the strength it took to finally help myself. Her memory soon became my strength, not my burden. And through this difficult period, I learned that life keeps moving forward, often bringing in new chapters before we feel ready. It has a way of testing our strength, showing us not only how strong we are, but how strong we need to be. Then came a new challenge, a new piece of this chapter. It started in the fall of my sophomore year. One moment I was fine, and the next I was literally on the ground. I remember the first time I fainted, the way the room spun, the way the sounds of the world disappeared, the way everything went dark. And then it kept happening. Dizzy spells, fainting episodes, blurred vision. My body kept failing me over and over again without warning. So I did what we're told to do. I went to the doctor. I sat in freezing exam rooms, hooked up to wires, poked with needles, and scanned by machines I had never heard of. I answered every question, and I took every test, hoping for answers. But all I got were shrugs and dismissals. You're probably just dehydrated. You're probably anxious or stressed. There's nothing wrong with you. Don't worry. But there was something wrong. I could feel it. I could feel it in the silence between heartbeats and the way the world went black as I stood up out of bed. I knew something was wrong, even if the doctors didn't. Eventually, I was proven right. I had an issue with my nervous system. The very thing that's supposed to keep your body balanced and steady had turned against me, misfiring signals, dropping my blood pressure, pulling the ground out from under me without warning. My diagnosis came quietly, but changed everything. And the hardest part, no one had believed me until they had to. I was just a 16-year-old girl, afraid of what was going on inside her own body, something she couldn't see and couldn't predict. And the doctors looked at me as if I were being dramatic, or like I was fragile, or like I was making it up. I felt invisible, dismissed, and alone. And I started to wonder if they were right. Maybe it was all in my head. But it wasn't. And the people I was supposed to trust made me feel small, unheard, and unimportant. Being sick is hard enough, but being sick and not being believed, that's a different kind of pain entirely. However, through this process, I learned resilience isn't about bouncing back. It's about moving forward, even when you're terrified. It's about rebuilding yourself while the storm is still raging. And sometimes it's about choosing life again and again, even when it's uncertain. But my struggles didn't end there. If anything, they shifted, moving from the physical to something quieter. The truth is, I had been battling my mental health since third form year, long before the fainting had begun. I thought if I pushed a little harder, smiled a little brighter, held on a little longer, it would all pass. I convinced myself that strength meant enduring, that if I just remained resilient, I would emerge unscathed on the other side. But I couldn't do it anymore. I had reached my breaking point, and it became very obvious pretending I was fine wasn't working anymore. And that was when I realized I didn't always have to be strong. I wasn't broken, I was human. And finally, for the first time in a long time, I understood that asking for help wasn't a sign of weakness. It was the beginning of an incredibly powerful kind of healing. So I did the scariest thing I could, and I reached out to ask for help. Healing didn't come in one big moment. It arrived in fragments, in a text to a friend, in getting out of bed, in saying the words, "I'm not okay," and letting someone stay beside me through it. I learned that life isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. It's complex, beautiful, and confusing, and there are moments where you'll feel like you're falling behind, and others where you're racing ahead. But the pace doesn't matter. What matters is you keep going. Every single step counts, even the stumbles, even the nights you have to begin again. In this very moment, standing in front of all of you, I choose to let go. Let go of my past, the pain, the pressure, the need to be whole, and the illusion of perfection. I choose to let go of the lie that healing has a finish line, because healing is not linear, and neither am I. Today, I stand with every scar that tried to silence me. I stand here proud because I kept moving forward, kept fighting, even while falling apart. I kept going when every part of me wanted to give up. I'm still running this marathon, bloody, bruised, breathless, but now unstoppable. So as I look out at all of you, at this place that has seen so much of my pain, my growth, my hiding, and my becoming, I make a choice. I am choosing to leave it here. Not because it didn't matter, not because it didn't shape me, but because I am ready to stop carrying it like armor. I am ready to stop letting it define me. I am leaving behind the nights I cried alone, the days I felt invisible, the fear of being misunderstood, the guilt, the questions without answers, and the pressure to be okay. I'm not erasing my past, I'm honoring it by setting it down, right here on the hill, in the place where it all started. Because this chapter has taken everything I've had to give, and I'm proud of how far I've come, but it's time. Time to start a new chapter where I'm no longer hiding, where I'm no longer just surviving, where I'm not afraid to take up space, to ask for help, to laugh loudly, or to live fully. Next year, I will walk into a new beginning, not as the girl who suffered in silence, who carried invisible weight, who fell more times than she could count, but as the girl who found her voice, the girl who healed, the girl who kept going. I may not be able to leave behind the memories, the pain, or the grief, but I can leave behind the shame, the secrecy, the fear of truly being seen. And so, from the ashes of everything I've endured, I emerge, not as who I was, but who I'm becoming. So if you'll let me, I'd like to begin again. Good morning. My name is Lily Vincent, and today I don't just turn the page, I rewrite the story. Thank you.